Good morning, amazing, courageous people. I'm really excited, as always, to be talking to you today, but I'm even more excited because, as you can see, I have got my whiteboard set up. I'm really excited about using this as a great tool to inspire you to live a life in freedom, giving you practical tools, supporting you every day to live that life of freedom that you so deserve. So today we are looking at it's day four of the 5 key principles to living a life in freedom. And day 4 is all about community and what community is. So my question to you now is just type in the comment section below, what does community mean to you? Belonging to a community, what thoughts come into your mind? Just, type below in the comment section, what does community mean to you? Write that down quickly. And if you don't have a pen and paper, I recommend that what you do is you grab a pen and paper, because I'm a firm believer in journaling. Here's my journal over here, as you can see, preparing for today's live. And I love journaling, absolutely love it. I think it's a great tool to just get some of those mental thoughts through the flow of the soul down onto the paper for you to understand. So, my encouragement is during these lives, have a piece of paper, have a pen, and make notes as we go through. So 5 key principles to living a life in freedom. We've already spoken about number 1, which is courage, courageously being vulnerable when you are in that space where you feel like you want to run away, is face those problems, face your insecurities, and keep going. Courage, choice, looking at the sense of clarity, making choices that are in alignment with your soul rather than your head. Commitment, 100% committed to who you are. It's like Pete Cohen always says, he says, guys, I'm 100% committed to you. He's one of my coaches, an amazing man, Pete Cohen from MI365. He says that it's about being 100% committed to your journey, and I am 100% committed to living in freedom myself, and 100% committed to inspiring you to live in freedom. Which brings us to day 4, which is community. Now, many of you might be thinking of community as outside of yourself. But today what I'd like to do is I'd like to look at this idea of community within yourself. Okay? So, looking at my notes, I know that many of us feel lonely sometimes. In fact, maybe a lot of times. Maybe you're watching this video and you have this overwhelming sense that you're on your own. And I often hear people say to me, especially my clients, they say, well, even though I live in a busy city like Paris or London, a lot of them are from London, a lot of them are from Paris, and even though there's lots of people, you feel so alone. Give me a thumbs up if you resonate with that. Have you ever been to a party? Have you ever been to a restaurant? Have you ever been anywhere? And even though you're alone, you also feel lonely. I think that the reason for that is that what we're doing is we're looking outside of ourselves for a sense of belonging. We're looking at what our perceived expectations are of the sense of belonging that keeps on disappointing us, and we see the world through an external view rather than an internal view. Now, for example, let's imagine that you're a young girl and you've gone to a party and you've got all dressed up and you think you're looking beautiful, and you psych yourself up and you think, okay, so this party is going to be great, and you're hopeful that you're going to be asked to dance, etc. But when you get there, you just feel like you want to be not a fly on the wall, a wallflower, and you want to disappear because you're feeling so insecure, and there's loads of people but no one's looking at you, and you feel like you don't really belong. So let's have a look at recapping a little bit what we said yesterday. The signal was really bad yesterday, wasn't it? Sorry about that. So let's look at recapping what we said. Remember that we said that here, can you see that? Not very well. So here we have the head, here's the body, all right, and the head is all the expectations from society, and then of course we've got the heart, and we have the soul. Now what I spoke about yesterday is I spoke about this idea that within the soul we have our core values, all right? Can you see that? Yeah, kind of. So you have your core values. Now, what's really, really important, I was speaking yesterday about how it's important that what we do is we build a reality and we become committed to connecting with what our core values are and building. So yesterday I spoke about this idea of how within your core values, you start laying the foundation. So here I am building a house. These are the foundation. It's the building blocks of who I am come from my core values. And we said that what happens in society is here I have my mom. She's talking at me. She's telling me that, Connie, this is what I expect of you, or this is how I perceive my mom is telling me I'm supposed to be. So she tells me, okay, Connie, this is how you are supposed to build your life. These are what the building blocks of your life should look like. Mom says that, and then dad says the same, and friends and family. So basically you've got all these people telling you how to build the core value of who you are. So basically what's happening is that if you go to a party and you are feeling really lonely, what I believe is happening is that you're interpreting the world through all of these different building blocks of what are supposed to be your core values. So it's important that I look beautiful in order to get attention. I won't feel lonely if I'm funny. I won't feel lonely if I'm intelligent. So you start taking on these core values that other people have given you or that are defense mechanisms. But now imagine that you start looking at your core values from the inside out, and you start, and this is important, write this down. It starts with you. It starts with you. Now, what's important is that you start to look at what are your ethics, what are your values, what are your core principles, what's important to you, not what society has told you should be important to you. So I'd like you to take a moment after this video to write down everything that you believe is important. Who are you as a person? I am giving, I am considerate, I am caring, I am outgoing. Those things that really are important to you. Who gave them to you? Was it your family? Was it the culture that you were brought up in? Where did those core values come from? And then ask yourself, are these my core values? Are they the values that I feel on a soul level, a cellular, not cellular, a cellular level? Are these the core values that are important to me? A great way to do that is to start observing. Look at if you are in a relationship and you say to your partner, this is really important to me, I want you to do this. Start looking at where did that value come from? And a great way to do that is look at other people in relationships. If you're at work, look at how your boss is treating you. Look at how, just start looking at people around you and how they treat other people and start asking people what are their core values and start feeling whether you resonate with those core values or not. So start having a look and start being mindful. Start making it your conscious choice, 100% committed. Be 100% committed to looking at what are your core values. Okay? I feel that if you want to not be lonely anymore, what you need to do, my encouragement is to start looking at what are your core values. Because if we look at this analogy, for me, what loneliness is that, so you go to a party and you've dressed up because mom says you have to look pretty, and then dad said that you have to be funny, so because that's his core value, and then your partner says to you that you have to be caring, so he has another core value that you've taken. Sorry, that shouldn't be there. Okay, so your mind has taken all these different core values from all the different places outside of yourself. The reason you feel lonely is because lonely means that there's no one around you, isn't it? Like you feel like there's no one around you, is because you are not connected to you. I'll say that again. You are not connected to the truth of who you are. So to feel complete, to live in freedom, to not feel lonely, you need to get to know all the aspects of who you are, all the aspects of what it means to you to be important. Not what other people tell you is important, but what is important to you. And I feel that to live in freedom, you need to have integrity. You know, this is why commitment is so important, is have integrity. Once you know what your core value is, start building those boundaries from your core values. Because when you feel lonely or hurt, what happens is that there's a reaction from the mind. So the mind, what it does is it reacts and it builds a wall. It builds a boundary, isn't it? So here's the wall. We often talk about how people build walls around them. Well, they've built walls around them to protect themselves because the core values that they developed from other people are not being recognized, and they're confused, so they're feeling this disconnect. But what happens if you start building not boundaries, but values that come from inside of you? That is an expression, not a reaction. People will begin to feel that sense of strength. Because remember, what happens is the feminine is the flow, the feminine is the yielding. So something happens to you and you feel uncomfortable, you feel lonely, you feel upset. Instead of reacting and building that wall around you, morning Tash, how are you? So instead of building a wall around you from the values of society, what you're doing is you're building a boundary. You're building that which is important to you, and people can begin to feel that. And it's important not to give up your space, not to give up your boundaries, and not to give up your will. So what does all of this have to do with community, Connie? You're saying? I'll tell you what it has to do with community. We always think about community as the people that, you know, we hang around with. And there's a common theory that people often talk about. Ben Chai, he talks about this quite often, is you become the 5 people that you hang around with. A lot of people talk about this, not only Ben, but you become the 5 people that you spend the most time with. I think it's deeper than that, guys. I think it's about what parts of yourself are you spending time with. Yes, remember, so here are the 5 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that I hang out with, and I'm going to take on their core values. But you see, I'm taking on their core values on a head level, aren't I? That's why I'm feeling lonely. That's why I'm feeling disconnected. But why don't you start building a community with all the aspects of who you are? The shadow side, the light side. The emotions, the happiness, the sadness. Why don't you start being mindful of the community and the support that you have in the spiritual realm? all of your angels, all of the master beings. Why don't you start building a community that is a community that comes from here down, from source? Why don't you start building that community around you? Because that community, I believe, is the first community that you should spend time with. And then once you have these boundaries that come from what source has told you your core values are in this lifetime, then you can begin to express that to the outside world. Wouldn't that be beautiful? To get to build a community within you first, and then your outside community will start manifesting that. Because the masculine energy is to build that which is inside, outside of us. So your masculine energy is going to build from here, or it's going to build from here. That's why we are mindful every day. That's why we have our journal and we write down our thoughts and we write down what we're thinking, so that we can begin to become mindful of where our actions have come from that day. That is living in freedom. So if you, like me, want to live in freedom every day, my gift to you today is, if you click on the link in this video, you'll see that there is a downloadable PDF that you can look at every day, keep it in your mind, keep it fresh. But this is my encouragement to you today, is start getting to know the community within you. Write in the comment section below all the different aspects of yourself that you discover within each moment. I recently had a great conversation with Dr. Mateusz Grzesiak at the Global Women Conference, and we were talking about the different aspects of the personality and how we have a dark side and we have a light side, a shadow side, and it's about getting to really know the shadow side. That is an aspect of you. It's come from somewhere, but get to know that person. Because if you go to a party, and this is where I will complete, if you go to a party with yourself, with all the different aspects to you, instead of going to a party getting all dressed up for the approval of other people, go to a party with your aspects, all the different aspects of yourself. Sit around the table and start to get to know them. Look at that shadow side and, okay, I don't like X, or I don't like Y, or this irritates me, or this frustrates me, or these are my fears. There's so many aspects to you. You've got your inner child, and there's so much to this, which is why it's so exciting. But get to know yourself and comment below. Comment below and tell me, what have you uncovered about the community that is within you today? I'd love to hear. So comment below, tell me, what are the different aspects of yourself, the community that you have found? And then you can begin to have the support from within, so that it reflects that which you need in the outside reality. Have a wonderful, wonderful day getting to know yourself, and we will see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys. Bye.